So thank you. So we are here today to basically so before I go further, we have this monthly discussion that we do every month. I'm sure that if you check our social media pages, you must have seen conversations that have been happening right from January up to this point for every international day for each month. That's key to the work that we do. The voice we tagged it Voices Against Violence online conversations. Like I said, is where we discuss conversations, topics, and issues that relating to women and girls and relating to the work that we do at the Smile Outreach. This month we are focusing on menstrual hygiene because this is menstrual hygiene. It's celebrating menstrual hygiene day this month. So basically, we'll be focusing conversations on the theme of this month, which is Shattering Myths and Redefining Menstrual Health. So basically, I'm so happy that we're not just having this conversation with I know that people will be expecting to like see um high profile experts and all, but I'm happy that this conversation is happening within people that we know and people that we have seen do the work. And I'm happy that these fellows, we are using our fellows. If you don't know, we actually run a youth lab and fellowship that is almost coming to a close, that we have come to a close. And we have 4 clusters in it. We picked fellows from our menstrual equity clusters, which is what who are the speakers for today's conversation. I hope we are ready to hear them. So basically the conversation today is to talk about the issues surrounding menstrual hygiene, talk about how we as advocates can come in, talk about, and I don't know, Hassan, if you can mute yourself, please mute yourself. So talk about myths and also encourage a period friendly world where people can actually talk about their period, talk about what they are going through with, and not feel like they are wrong for talking about it. So I'll go into us as an organization. Our work, like I said, is driven by a commitment to tackle pressing issues across areas like sexual grooming, across areas like cross-generational sexual relationship, menstrual inequity, like what we are doing right now, child marriage and harmful traditional practices through education, support, and advocacy. I'm sure most of us on this call already know about the organization. Like I said, we are the Smile Outreach Foundation. We are a dedicated non-profit organization with a mission to empower and
No.
Pakistan, can you unmute yourself?
I didn't ask.
Do that for you. Okay. Yes. Like I was saying, our mission is to empower and uplift. Please, at any point, if you can't hear me, please let me know. Thank you. To empower and uplift communities across Nigeria and focusing on adolescent health, focusing on women empowerment, and also focusing on youth agency, which is also the whole point of our youth lab fellowship, to give youth the tools, the knowledge, the education that they need to go out and bring in the change that is due. Okay. We also work like I said, we work to bring down all these harmful practices. We also combat the sexual grooming and cross-generational relationships, because some of these issues, I'm sure that people will be like, oh, I've never seen an organization doing this before. Yes, we are doing it, and yes, it's a real life issue that is still happening in our country today. Additionally, we work to eradicate menstrual images, like what we are doing right now. Menstrual equity is actually something that should have been there already. And it's not something that we're supposed to even be going back and forth with, because menstruation is like the most realistic thing that can happen to a woman being. I don't know why people will target as stigma or as shame as anything. We also work tirelessly around child marriage and harmful practices like FGM, yes, which is also part of the cluster that we have, through education, support, and advocacy. feel like I'm talking too much. If at any point you cannot hear me, please, like I said, let me know. So we have four main programs and projects that we run. We have the Outreach Challenge, which is an initiative dedicated to tackling critical issues of sexual predators and manipulating young individuals into unhealthy relationships. Like I said, there are real issues and they are happening now. And it's sad that even now people say people just tag it as it's a normal thing, but really, is it normal? Our second program that we run is the Good Circle, which is battling sexual grooming, facilitating education and eradicating period poverty through the entry point of the Good Circle. The Good Circle, I'm sure that if you check our pages by now, we've activated two part stations in Abuja and also in an IDP camp in Adamawa, where the Good Circle is not just donating pad, it's like a place of should I call it like a place of communion and sisterhood for women and girls, not just coming to collect pad and getting educated, just feeling free to express whatever challenges they've had with their period and menstruation generally. We have the both spaces to educate and empower young minds on sexual grooming, which is like our both space activation that has been happening in schools, that has been happening in communities around us and schools around us. We also have the youth lab. Like I said, in the youth lab, we have like 4 clusters. We have the sexual grooming, we have menstrual equity, we have SGM, FGM, sorry, and then we have child marriage. It's like a catalyst youth agency. It's like a platform that puts youth as social change makers, giving them the skills and the tools that they need to rewrite wrong information in their various clusters. And also, thank you. I'm not seeing, oh, I think I jumped too soon. I'm not seeing any handshake or like snapping because I think a lot of this organization. Yeah, so before, okay, so before I move to our guest and everything, we'll be calling on our Director of Communication, who is Ella, and she's here on this call to give us like a opening remarks before we start the conversation. Please, I'm not seeing any clap emoji. I'm not seeing anything. Please. Sorry. Thank you, Sadia. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
And you can see me too, yes?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you to everyone for joining us. My name is Emanuela Imo, as already introduced. I'm the Director of Comms at TSO. And Cynthia has done justice to talking about us, what we do, how we do it. And I'm not going to buttress so much on that. I'm just going to give a few words about why we're here and the reason for the conversation. So menstruation is something that everyone doesn't like to talk about. Even women don't like to talk about, unfortunately. And that's as a result of the culture, the silence that has been, enveloped around this whole experience. I like to call it an experience because it's an amazing experience that every woman has to go through. And so without that menstruation experience, the experience of childbirth, the experience of giving life doesn't get to happen. So it's an experience that makes us women, that really just fulfills our purpose as a woman, and the whole purpose of having to bring life. So this is a conversation that is quite important, and at TSO is something that is very, very close to our hearts. And I just want to talk briefly about how money, culture, and gender, affects menstrual health and everything that we do and we talk about in an environment like Nigeria. I'm sure all of us here are Nigerians, and I'm going to be speaking from a Nigerian perspective. In an environment like Nigerians, we have a lot of myth that surrounds menstruation. We have a lot of lies that has been concocted, like I like to put it, concocted around menstruation. And people have carried these lies, this myth on for generations. And I'm very sure that even when I begin to have my own children, some of my children might have this notion because of the environment they get to, be in, whether in school, in religious settings, or wherever. These myth would always be carried on at some point. And so it is our responsibility as youth advocates, is our responsibility as period equity advocates to see how we can limit this myth. We cannot necessarily destroy everything because it takes a longer process to do that. But when we're able to manage and limit all of this myth, then it's possible to create a change around period poverty and period education. Now, when it comes to money and how it affects period poverty, we talk about the economic status, and you get to see. I want to believe I'm speaking to a lot of people who have a lot of experience working, with with um, with people, women, when it comes to period poverty and menstrual education. And you get to see that there is a very close link between the economic status and period poverty itself. Because when people are not empowered economically or financially, they are not able to provide for themselves. Very simple, very basic things like a sanitary pad. I don't know how much a sanitary pad is right now in Nigeria because I've not been in touch with the system. However, I know
Almost
it can
2,000.
almost 2,000. Okay,
Like the
so
smallest one can be like 700, 800, almost
can, can you
900,
can you imagine that
honestly.
the last time you bought one at 750 yesterday? I love the comments that are
Yes.
going on. Thank you so much. So imagine something as basic as that is that expensive. So if a sanitary pad, and for example, personally, I use 2 packs every month. Imagine I have to budget 4,000 naira every month so that I'm able to stay clean in a very serene, hygienic environment because of my periods. And imagine someone who lives in an IDP camp, or a girl who lives in a very remote area that has no access to these resources, that has no access to money, to be able to provide for herself and just remain healthy. And then when she's staying, we get to blame her for spilling, right? But it's not her fault. It's the economic situation or the economic status that she finds herself that makes her not have access to, menstrual products. And this aggravates the whole period poverty issue. This aggravates, the minorities within even gender itself that we talk about. And permit me if I start to talk about gender, because gender is a very huge research area of mine for my PhD. So when we start to talk about intersectionality and deepen all of these minorities and gaps, you see there is a huge gap between me who is able to make money for myself and can afford 2,000 naira pad, and someone who is in an IDP camp, or someone who is in the suburbs who cannot access 2,000 naira to buy basic sanitary pad. And to me, it's basic. To them, it's a huge thing because they do not have access to this. And the disparity goes deeper because you now see healthcare access is limited for some women. And if you've been engaging with some of our stories, by the way, we have a campaign that has been going on social media. We've been sharing the stories of a lot of women from across Nigeria, their period stories. These stories when we wanted to start this campaign, we thought it was just going to be little stories we're going to have. We have so many stories, we have not even been able to exhaust them at the end of this month. So I urge you to please go to our YouTube channels. We have the full episodes there. You can watch them. But just bringing it back to what I'm saying about healthcare access, in the course of talking about, sharing the stories of these women, some of them have very sad, painful experiences with cramps, with PMS, and they have to get to the hospital. Now imagine a girl who is in an IDP camp, or a girl who doesn't have access to healthcare services, and going through very tedious period chronicles, if you want to put it that way. How is she able to have access to healthcare just to help her manage through? These are some of the things, that come up when we talk about period poverty. These are some of the things that hurt, when it comes to the conversations about menstruation and why it's an important topic. Because, like I said when I started, without menstruation, the gift of humanity is not happening. And that's the unfortunate truth, right? Is the way God has put it. And then we go further to talk about, the impact it also has on the workplace. There was one story we had that was shared about a lady saying she took an excuse from her place of work because she was having serious cramps and couldn't come, and her boss was not understanding. These are stories we see every day. I'm having cramps, I'm uncomfortable, I'm in pain. Some women bleed for as long as 7 days, and we have some bosses or some places of work that are not as accepting, sympathizing, or inclusive as they should be. These are conversations we should have. And in some countries, they have period leaves. To be honest, I wish we can have that in Nigeria for women that need it, because it is very, very important. For someone to be able to function during her menstruation is a whole lot of work. And I see some videos on TikTok when some men are put on this period pain. I don't know if you guys have seen it, period pain stuff. And they're asked to feel the pain that we feel during our period, and they can't manage it. So imagine having to go through that pain, and you're still working, and you're still raising a family, and you're still doing a whole lot of things. It's super amazing. And kudos to every woman here who is going through her period. Kudos to every man who has been supportive during the time of pain that we go through during our periods. You're the real MVP. And just also talk about gender and how it influences how menstruation is being perceived and managed. The idea of menstruation has become something silent, something shameful, something stigmatized as a result of gender roles that have been, gender roles and gender norms that have been created by society. And that gender, the role of gender is something that was just put together by society. It's not something that is supposed to be, because, for example, when you say the kitchen or cooking is dedicated to a woman, cooking is a life skill. It's not a woman's skill. And so society has made it a gender role and created issues around that. The same thing happens to menstruation. And so because menstruation happens to women, it has been stigmatized by people in the society to be a woman's problem and not a man's problem. And so you see that men are not comfortable talking about menstruation with us. Men are not comfortable having conversations about menstruation in public. They're not even comfortable having to tell a woman that you're stained, can you change, or help her to cover up just in case. Those little things that happen, there is stigma, there is shame around it, even within our culture, within education. I don't know how many of you experienced it when I was in school. When they want to talk to us about menstruation, all the boys are sent out of the class. That's absolutely wrong. From classrooms, we should be having boys in the conversation so they are also able to understand how this works and know that it's not a boy thing or a man, it's not a woman's thing, It's an us thing because it makes two to tango. Yeah. So all of us have to be in the conversation. All of us have to be carried along. And it's when men are put in the conversation, they begin to understand the dynamics of periods and begin to appreciate why these conversations are necessary, why these conversations need to be had. And we begin to have an inclusive society where period stigma is kicked out of the way, where period silence, period myth is also kicked out of the way. And so when gender, economic status, and all of these things put together begin to intersect, it creates a different experience for women all across the globe, not just Nigeria. And I know Menstrual Hygiene Day was May 28th, just 2 days ago, and everyone was having conversations about this. And one thing people just also do not talk about is the intersectional approach when it comes to period poverty, when it comes to menstruation and all conversations around it. And so what I would just like to drop before I stop talking, because I know all of the speakers are also going to buttress on some of the points that I have mentioned, is to say that as advocates, period advocates, we should look at every angle when it comes to having conversations about menstruations, having to, one, include the boys in the conversation, include the men in the conversation as allies to help educate other girls, because there are boys who have sisters, there are boys who have cousins, there are men who have nieces, educate men to be able to have comfortable, conversations about menstruation with women around them, because when we get them involved, they are able to protect us and also advocate for us in places like workplaces, because there are lots of men in workplaces, especially at management level. So if these men do not understand what it means for a woman to go through her period, then how can they advocate for period leaves that we are fighting for? I don't know if anyone gets my point. If we're not having men involved in the conversation, we cannot have advocates or have policies made, to help these women have more inclusive environments. So it's very important that, one, we have men involved in the process for faster approaches, for faster measures to be taken. We also have, we also get to look at it from an intersectional approach, like I said before, having to break down our information to women at the grassroots level, because they are the ones that are more affected by this whole period poverty thing. So we are here, we have access to the internet, we have access to money, 2,000 naira to purchase a sanitary pad, but there are girls who are down there who do not have access to it. And so how do we help them solve this situation when we know we cannot provide them the money, and we know that giving them sanitary pad will not be the solution to their problems because it's not sustainable? What we can do is begin to learn for ourselves sustainable period items that we can create so that we can pass on this information to these young girls to begin to use things around them to create sustainable period items like reusable pads. I use reusable pads. To me, they are more comfortable than even the normal sanitary pads, because the normal sanitary pads at some point give me rashes because of whatever it is that has been used to create it, and because of how long I get to use it for. And I'm sure some other women here also have the same experience. But with reusable pads, I feel more comfy. I do not have that issue. And so when we're able to propose reusable pads as a solution, sustainable solution for young girls, they are able to create these pads themselves. But beyond that, we are also teaching them how to remain hygienic, having to use that because it means more water now is going to be used. So as advocates, we need to think of sustainable solutions for women in rural areas, for women in the grassroots areas. Don't think about giving them a sanitary pad. I do not Personally, I hate it when I see pad a girl initiatives because it's not sustainable and doesn't solve the problem. If you give them one sanitary pad, what happens next month? If you give them one piece, what happens for the remaining days of their period? It's not sustainable. It doesn't help them. You're just scratching the surface. And a lot of them have, they have intersecting issues. And so you need to look at all of these intersecting issues based off on the environment that you find yourself or you want to carry out your project, and see how exactly you can go to the root cause. Some of them might be water. They already know how to create these menstrual pads, reusable pads, but they do not have water. So it will mean you as an advocate will have to partner with an organization that can help get us water so that these girls can have access to water to remain hygienic. Because why should I have a pad if I can bath? Why should I have a pad if I can't wash well? So these are the ways we should look at it. And just to round up, I said that before, I'm rounding up now. Just to round up, at the Smile Outreach, I'm supposed to speak on what exactly we're doing to also help. And what we're doing, like Cynthia already mentioned, is the good cycle. And the good cycle is we having to solve the problem of period poverty from a point of conversation, from a point of community, from a point of inclusion. And we are setting up pad stations that become a hub of advocacy, a point of contact for every woman who needs access to resources, who needs access to sanitary pads, who needs access to a fellow woman who she can just share her period chronicle with. And so when we talk about the period chronicles, it's not just a story of how I feel during my period, because it's a whole different experience for every woman, but it's a story of how exactly you can get involved in the process when it comes to menstruation. And so I just want to urge you here all today, when you are going to talk about menstruation to young girls, please ensure that you are inclusive, you are thinking about the girls beyond having to give them sanitary pads, and you also are seeing how you're solving the problem, but not scratching the surface. So I would stop talking here and hand over to our panelists so they can continue the conversation from here. Thank you so much, everyone. Please check out our period chronicles. So much amazing stories there. Some you would laugh, some you would cry, some you can relate. You'll be like, I get the point. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Oh my God. I think I should just leave it for you to just carry on with the conversation and let the panelists just continue the conversation from there. Thank you so much, Ella, for the breakdown, for the conversation. And I love every point that you have raised here today. And I feel like there's so much more to come. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Please. Okay, we'll be going. We all know, we have all seen the flyer, so yes, not a new thing that you guys are just made our guest. So I'll be reading the guest bio before we jump straight into the conversation. I know that we are excited about it. So the first, in no particular order, Abundance. She's already here. Abundance, you can show us your face, drop an emoji. Abundance, this thing is a passionate social impact practitioner focused on advancing the health and awareness of adolescent boys and girls with a strong commitment to gender equality, menstrual equity, and overall well-being. Her work centers on empowering young people in leadership, health, research, and advocacy through evidence-based research and community-driven intervention. With a degree in zoology, people should not look at it. It does not matter what you study. Passion is passion. The degree in geology and environmental biology, and she has built a strong foundation in tackling complex social issues. Beautiful. Abundance has received numerous awards for her contribution to serving vulnerable populations and advocating for positive change. As a mentor and advocate, she supports young people in making informed decisions and unlocking their potential. Her expertise spans health leadership, development, health advocacy, gender equality, social media management, and field coordination, creating sustainable impact in community. Please, I want to see those hands. I want to see those hands. Abundance, if you want to show us, if the network is okay with you, you can show us your face and just like say hi or anything. Our next speaker is Amira Bello. Amira is a passionate public health advocate and humanitarian dedicated to improving health outcome and empowering marginalized community. Her volunteer journey has shaped her deep understanding of health challenges people face and strengthen resolution to create positive change and also lasting impact. She's especially committed to promoting health education, disease prevention, and menstrual equity, ensuring all individuals, especially women and girls, have access to the resources and dignity they deserve. Wow, this is beautiful, Amira. Through her work, she has seen how poverty, education, and environment influences well-being. This has driven her advocacy for policy that addresses social and determinants of health and champion health equity. She believes true health goes beyond absence of illness. I'm adapting that belief too. It is also a physical, mental, and social well-being. With a collective action, she strives to build communities where everyone have fair chance to thrive. Please, are you seeing our speakers, please? The last speaker is Selma Hassan of this is psychotherapist student. Wow. Okay, with a big passion for self-development, a spoken word poetry. I hope you prepared something for us today, Salma. Okay. A spoken word poetry and storytelling. She's a community development and youth leader. She's the founder of Shades of Poetry. Wow, wow, I'm super proud. A platform for a platform that fosters poetry in all its form, and a co-founder in the Girls World Avenue for bettering the lives of young teenage girls and adults. Beautiful, Selma, beautiful. Selma is a graduate was a graduate of the Youth Leadership Summit organized by the Deep Thoughts Development Initiative. With her 4 years of expertise in writing and storytelling, she has lent her voice to the marginalized and has used the power of poetry to grace stages. Like how she's going to grace us today, including the World Words NG 2020, performed at the Yoga Fest 2021, made the 2021 International Women's Day, International Day of the Girl Child 2022, 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence 2023, Day Fest in 2023, CAPFest in 2024, IWYD Champion 2024, with an intuition of real life experience in the journey. Summer is driven to be an agent of change in our locality with her exercises towards world education, sound education, community development, and youth leadership in governance. Yes, I'm not seeing the hands because I'm not in the right page, but these are our guests. Thank you so much for being here. Please, I'm not seeing anybody's face. Our guest speakers, are we shy? We are going straight into the conversation. Yeah, so going straight to the conversation. So I will start with abundance. I know you are here already. So please, can you tell us why you chose to be a menstrual health advocate? Like, what led you to this journey?
Okay,
Can
good
we?
afternoon, everyone. Thanks
Wait,
for joining.
sorry, before you start, can we just see your face more? Then you can off it.
Okay, yeah, let
That,
me share my camera.
thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All right. For me, what led me to become a menstrual health advocate was the experiences I had growing up as a young girl. I experienced menstrual poverty, and it in turn affected my mental health as a young girl. So I was like, God, imagine me who has educated parents, and my parents, they may not be financially stable, all that, but they could provide it. But due to let me say, lack of confidence, low self-esteem in myself, I could not tell them, oh, I'm lacking part and all of that. So imagine me as a young girl, I could not um be bold to speak up about menstruation. Then what about the younger girls like in the rural areas? How would they
Yes.
feel about themselves? So I was like, oh God, I really need to advocate for them, tell them that periods are normal, because some of them, their parents could actually afford the pad, but because of lack of confidence, they cannot request for pad because they will be stigmatized. People will look at them, and sometimes they give them wrong information about menstruation. And even in some communities here in Cross River State and even around the world, there are people that still stigmatize young girls, like making them stay in a particular room. You're not allowed to cook because they believe that you're gonna stain the whole place, or maybe you're not also allowed to like be in a public place, because at the end of the day, we know that when you're standing up, you're going to stain our chairs and the blood, there is no water to clean it and all of that. So I took cognizance of all those myths and harmful practices. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to advocate for young girls who cannot speak up about menstrual health. So that's what led me to becoming a menstrual health advocate.
Okay, wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think one of the things I will point out is it does not even matter if you are from a high income, low income, middle income. There's always this stigma. There's always this thing that people make menstruation to look like that affects your self-esteem, that you begin to doubt yourself in some way. And I'm really sorry you had to go through that. And I'm happy that today you are the first, you are doing what you love. You are the forefront, fighting and ensuring that period equity it's it's brought to light. So thank you so much for sharing that. Is Salma here? Yeah. So Salma, please, can you the same question, like what made you become a menstrual health advocate? Sorry.
Hello, everyone. I'm here.
Okay.
So, good afternoon to you all.
So that's
My journey for what drive me to have passion for this menstrual hygiene advocacy is the experience I had last year. As someone who normally indulge herself into all of these things that has to do with that have to do with community development, youth inclusiveness, I did not have that much interest in advocating for menstrual equity. But then going for an outreach with an organization opened my eyes regarding the issues that and the stigma happening with young girls regarding the issue of menstruation. So we went for an outreach. We went there to distribute some dignitary kits to young girls in a particular community. And we were told to enlighten them about the importance of taking care of themselves when they are in their menstruation. But then upon doing that, we got to learn a lot of things that we weren't even aware of, a lot of stroking realities that made me, have interest in advocating for menstrual equity and menstrual hygiene. Because when we went to that particular environment, after we finished lecturing them about menstruation and how they could take care of themselves, a girl asked us a question regarding how she's going to confront her parents about the fact that she has started seeing her menstruation, because she hid it from them that she wasn't seeing her menstruation, due to the fact that if they get to know that she has started seeing her menstruation, they're going to get her marriage off. And with that reason, like, I started to have interest in all of the things that are happening. So I asked myself this question: we are in 21st century, so all of these myths and misconception and taboos still exist regarding menstrual equity. So I think this is one of the reasons why I started to have interest and why I started to advocate for menstrual equity in my community and outside my community. Thank you so much.
wow, wow, wow. As you were saying that story, my head already went like maybe they want to marry her off or something. And then you said it, I was like, this time and age, you would think that something do not exist. but they do exist. And at one thing I would also say is I love the fact that it didn't happen to you. Nothing has happened to you that made you want to advocate for it, but you saw others and you're like, oh, this is the problem, and I would like to identify myself to solve that problem. Many of us today, I think the conversation will cover it. Some people today, even women, will also you be the one to use their mouth to tell you that, oh, menstruation is a normal thing. All these things are exaggerating it. So thank you for doing that. I really, really love that. Thank you. So Amira, I don't know, you can take the floor. The same question, why did you become like a mental health advocate? What's your journey? Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I think I'm having issue with my
Network.
yes, ma'am. But can I still talk like that?
Yes, you can add,
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Bello Amira Lamoa. What actually drove me to become a menstrual health advocate or menstrual equity advocate was because back then when I was small, I attended a unity school, a government school, where all the people there I saw were from villages, were from local government. So I felt we were few that were coming from a state and a place where it's well civilized, unlike the others. So I once saw a certain ladies that, not actually ladies because we were still growing up back then. So this girl was having her period and she was stained and couldn't even, she didn't have a sanitary pad and didn't even bother because it's a girls' school. So she felt it's just normal that any girl that sees it, she'll just laugh and that's all. Because they were poor actually, so she couldn't afford a sanitary pad. She was using rag and the rag was all messy and she couldn't even go to the hostel and get another one. So she was just walking around like that. I took her to the hostel and gave her my own extra pad. And since that day, I became so bold enough to talk about period and menstruation. So I used to talk to my roommates and few of my classmates. I used to teach them how to wear pad. So that was how it all started. And then my volunteer experience also shaped the way I think regarding menstruation and period stuff. So the more we go into communities, the more I see vulnerable people, the more I see how people are trying to struggle, trying to see how they can fit in into the society they are not. You know, in deep north where I come from, people don't openly talk about period, they don't openly talk about menstruation. So I sometimes when we go for outreach, when we go for advocacies, when we go for workshops or conferences, sometimes I try to side talk other people when I hear them talking, murmuring about period. So I try to talk them in and tell them that you don't have to murmur about it. Just come up or discuss about it so that when your neighbor or somebody that is there hears it, will actually advise you and give you an insight of what she knows or what he knows. So that was actually what motivates me or what inspired me to become a menstrual equity advocate or menstrual health advocate. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Please just keep your mic open. I think the next question is coming back to you, Amira. And I love how you started talking about the whole the way you fought and try to let people know that menstruation is not like the thing that they make it out to be. So the next question would be like, try to share a time that you challenged a harmful belief around menstruation? Like I think you started telling us a story already that you had to talk to them, you had to try to explain to them about some of the things around menstruation. So can you tell us more, like in like 3 minutes, tell us more about how you try to challenge harmful discussion, harmful belief, harmful practices around menstruation?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, my story, this one is going to sound funny, even though I don't know, Sha. So there was one time in my state, in Gombe State, where I went for prayers during Ramadan fasting. So when we went to the mosque, it's like a lady was trying to force her child to come to the mosque, and the girl didn't want to open up and tell the mother that she's in her period. So when she came to the mosque, she was actually not praying, but she was doing some few things that it was funny. So the mother now tapped her and wanted to 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 scold her that why are you behaving like that? So she now whispered to the mother that I'm on my period. So the lady now hit her so hard that she just stared at everybody there thinking she committed something. The lady was now like, why will you open up and speak up that loud that you are on your period? Don't you think it's a taboo for a lady to speak up that she's on her period? So actually, I was staring at everything that was happening. So I walked to them after the prayer. So I now told the mother that that's not how you teach your child. You teach her to open up and tell you things that she's even scared of, or she should be confide in you. And period is not something that you hide or you are shameful about. It's not a shameful thing. Yes. So I now talked her into it that next time we are all ladies, the people there are all ladies. So somebody can actually even give her advice on how to take care of herself before and even after the period. So actually that day, not only the mother, when I was talking to the mother, other ladies, other women surrounded, and they heard what I was saying. And I was happy because the mother was actually grateful and said, she has
Wow.
never met somebody that talked to her regarding period like this. And it was as if I felt like I fought a taboo. I fought something very great in my own community because I made them felt as if, okay, it's something that they can freely and openly discuss, not only within themselves, but anywhere they found themselves. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much. And that's really like bold of you, because I know that when it comes to religion, there's a lot of things around menstruation, especially in the north and all those places. So thank you so much for doing that. Keep fighting, and I'm happy that they were open to learning and learning more. So I will move to abundance. You've already started a discussion around even if, like I said, low income, middle income, everybody have some way that they have faced period stigma. So can you share with us? So the question is, how do we sorry, how do menstrual health challenge show up differently for both urban and rural area? Like, what's the difference? If you're in a low income country, how do menstrual health challenges come up? If you're in a middle income country, how do menstrual health challenge come up? Like in 3 minutes, kind of like walk us through it. Thank you. Your network is not
Okay.
really good. You can off your camera.
Okay. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier that as a girl growing up, I had parents who could at least provide pad for me, but due to lack of confidence. So now, some young girls, even up to in men, in many rural areas, they can't afford menstrual products, and some of them lack their awareness. Recently, someone was actually saying every time you guys are just going to talk to students and give them part, it's overrated. I was like, really? That if he should go to rural areas to hear the perspective that young girls have towards concerning menstruation, he would be surprised. So in rural areas, lack of awareness and lack of menstrual products could pose as a menstrual health challenge for
Mm,
young girls and women in rural areas. And apart from lack of menstrual hygiene products, they also face things like lack of access to water. They don't have water. Imagine you're on your period and you're bathing with stream water, water that maybe people have defecated into the water, they have washed their clothes there and rinsed their clothes. Is that same water you're going to use in bathing? That's a very another health issue, and
Yeah.
that is not good for like your reproductive system as a whole. And people are still practicing harmful um menstrual practices in the rural areas, where because you're menstruating, they start telling you don't eat this, don't eat that. And these are foods that are really good to build up your red blood cells that you have lost. And now to the urban area. Believe me when I say that even in the urban area, people are still experiencing menstrual poverty. Like, while in the course of our fellowship, our mentor said that there are IDP camps in Abuja. And I'm like, God, Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. I never used to
I'm out.
imagine that
I'm out.
IDP camps in Abuja. Seriously, it was just in the course of this fellowship that I became aware that there are IDP camps in Abuja. So
Yeah.
back to the discussion. In urban areas, though young girls are maybe informed about menstrual health education and the management practices, in some schools in the urban areas, there are no good sanitation facilities for girls to use when they are menstruating during school hours. And even the, disposal facilities in urban area, it's a total mess. People don't have access to that. So these are challenges that could come with menstruating in urban areas and rural areas. Even in some urban areas where you maybe dash into a hotel expecting that you will see pad, there is no pad in hotels in urban areas. And this is very, for me, it's very disheartening. Even in some clinics in the urban areas, no pad. You may finish giving birth or doing a major surgery like fibroid and the rest. At the end of the day, they tell you there is no pad in the hospital. And I'm like, God, even so, apart from us being maybe digitally connected and the rest, so these are challenges we as young women and girls face in urban areas when it comes to menstrual health challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's not even, I think at this point, it's not even just buying the pad. There are even structures in place that when the pad even comes, that would fit in and even make life easier for women as well. And like you said, even in urban areas, it will shock you, like Ella has said, in some offices, if you tell them you have cramps, they will ask you what's that. You have to work. It's supposed to be so, people might see it as a normal thing, but it's also part of this period of poverty that we are talking about, even everything that we are talking about right now. And you can see no matter the level you are in as a woman, as a girl, there is something that the society has put on your head that you must go through and all, and it's very disheartening. So going to the next question, Stelma, I don't know if you can hear me. How do you see your work in menstrual hygiene advancing to the sustainable development goals, like sustainable development goal 3, 4, 5? 3 being good health and well-being, 4 being quality education, and 5 being gender equality. Please, did you get the question?
Please, can you repeat that? Could you repeat the question?
Okay, yeah. So how do you see your work in menstrual hygiene? How do you see it advancing to other sustainable development goals, like what I've listed? How do you see menstrual hygiene advancing to good health, advancing to quality education, advancing to gender equality? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. As I told you earlier, during the first outreach that I went regarding menstrual equity, I think we were there to distribute something. But as someone who is very passionate about the something that she has known, I love I love sharing, I love telling stories, I love advocating for things. So I am going to like incorporate all of this together in the sense that I would advocate for, I can hear some, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. So I would advocate for, I would, let's say, educate young people regarding the importance of taking care of themselves when they are on their period, because that education alone can lead to a lot of things, can lead to a lot of change in our sustainable development goals. When they are educated, they would be able to know, they would be able to have access regarding a lot of things, regarding opportunities, regarding how to take care of themselves. And for them to be, for them to know something, it means that they would be educated about a particular topic or an incident that is happening in their lives. So I think I am going to, for me, I would, let's say, advocate about a particular, I would advocate about menstrual hygiene. I would also call the attention of the parents or and the stakeholders of a particular community to educate the young people about the importance of menstrual hygiene.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? I think I can't hear Selma again, but can anyone hear me? Okay. I think it's our network, and we already past
So
time.
like
Okay.
you said, okay, what I'm going to do to make my, let's say, to make my team align to the sustainable development goals, I'm going to advocate and speak out. I'm going to also educate the parents of the children, and I would reach out to young girls. I would also engage the religious and community leaders, and I would also use storytelling and lived experiences to like end all of this taboo and stigma behind the menstrual inequality and inequity happening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. If for I think I love the part about education, because yeah, education is very, very important. People will be like, oh, you guys are talking too much. Yes, we will keep talking till the right thing is done, and good health and well-being is very important. Good menstrual hygiene gives brings room for good health and well-being. If you are having to use dirty water to clean yourself, that's not good health. If you're having to maybe reuse part because you can't afford part, or reuse the clothes that you have been wearing not in the right way that reusable parts are meant to be used. It also causes effects on your body which affect your health and well-being. So moving to the next question, abundance, I think this is like the last one from your end. Like in just, let's say 2 to 3 minutes, can you like put it together? Like, can you put the connection between period poverty and gender-based violence, and also sexual exploitation? Can I
Okay.
trust you with 2 minutes?
Okay, ba. Yeah. Period poverty could make young girls in communities get sexually exploited because they barely have what to eat. So now they are looking for money to get pads for themselves. And we all know what the prices of pads are now saying in our different states and communities. And there are some state communities where before you could even sight a shop, you have to trek miles to get there. So now young girls, especially teenagers, the ones who have not reached 18 years yet, when they are menstruating, or some of them are now aware of their cycle that, oh, every 1st of May, I'm always seeing my period, or every first week of the month, I'm always seeing my period. So now some of them are aware that this happens. So their parents may not have money to get pads for them. So they tend to ask people around for part. And imagine going to ask a perpetuator, because being a perpetuator is not written on your forehead. So imagine going to ask a perpetuator for money to get pad. he will want to sleep with you first. And we all know that even if a 13 to 17-year-old in Nigeria gives you consent to sleep with her, that is an abuse. So now, when these young girls want to get money, they get sexually exploited. They have transactional sex just to have menstrual products. And this could have a very terrible impact in their lives in the long run. They could stop going to school because when once pregnancy sets in, they can't go back to school, and because their bodies are developing, they will not be able to give birth freely, and this could result in vaginal fistula. So these are ways that period poverty could lead young girls into sexual exploitation. Now, let me link it to gender inequality. As women, we know that even in the force and everywhere, you are asked to, especially in the force, they said a woman can't lead because she is menstruating and all of that. That is a gender inequality. Because I'm a woman, I'm not supposed to lead in the war front or lead in a parade because I'm a woman. So that is a very good example of inequality. So now back to the young girls. Because of looking for money to get pads, some of them just resuscitate to being raped, or like they are so vulnerable to being raped. And by the time they are aware of this act, or maybe after they have finished having sex and all of that, they could also develop infections just by sleeping with somebody without using protection.
Sorry, is it just me? Please confirm. Can anyone confirm they can hear? Okay.
Oh, did you hear me?
Yes. Thank
I
you.
hope
I
I
think
stick
you
to
are
the 2
done.
minutes.
Yes. I cannot guarantee that, but thank you so much for your input. And like you said, yeah, because of lack of access to resources for it, rejection is not written on the forehead. Abuser is not written on the forehead. People tend to fall into this kind of trap, and that's why some of the work we are also doing at the Smart Outreach is also equipping young people with the ability to go out and educate more on this thing called cross-generational relationship and also sexual grooming. And thank you so much for identifying that in your point. And Amira, I don't know if you can hear me. Please, can you like tell us the role? Please, can we stick to our 2 minutes? Thank you. The role storytelling play in ending stigma around menstruation. Mira, over to you. Yeah. Hi.
You. Hi. Good afternoon, ma. Thank you. Okay. Regarding to storytelling, when it comes to advocacy, actually, I am also aware that, or let me rather say, I am also part of the people that believe that when I see, I become more emotional and the sympathy. I pick sympathy when I see things or when I hear the story of people, real life story coming from their mouth. Like saying it, it makes me feel touched, and it makes me feel a sense of connection, or it makes me rather say, okay, I can also relate to actually what, yes. So storytelling is actually very, very important in our today's society. In this 21st century, people believe in more of storytelling than you coming to the social media to come and talk. But when you bring out a real life story in form of storytelling, you tell your story, people see you and they tend to have the sympathy and believe that, okay, if this is her story, that means there are other stories that are out there that are not being said. People are burying what they are going through and what is happening to them. I've once told one of my friends that you are telling your story to me. You don't know my own story. You don't know other people's story. But when I heard her own, I felt my own was nothing. Hers was yes, hers was more convinced than mine because she told me and I felt happy. So storytelling plays a very wonderful and a great impactful role when advocating and when trying to catch people's attention to listen to you and know what you are going through. Thank you very much.
Everybody should learn from Amira. She's never reached up to 2 minutes, but thank you so much, Amira, for that. Storytelling plays a vital role. And Selma, I think you can also add in being a poetry person that you are. What do you think? What's the role of storytelling? If you don't have anything to say, just let me know so that we can round up. Yeah.
I want to say that everybody loves to hear stories. And the best way for us to advocate for menstrual equity, I think, is by storytelling. One thing that I've learned over the years of, being a digital storyteller, I realized that people connect more to stories more than anything. When you want to carry people along with you, try telling them stories. Make them feel you through your words, through your action. Make them feel whatever thing that you've undergone. And with that, like, people would find interest in that particular thing that you are trying to share with them, and you would carry people along with you. So now I'm going to end by saying this for all of us, the fellows and everybody, whatever thing that we are going to do, if we want to call the attention of the people, we should try by telling stories. People connect to stories. People like to share stories, and people learn from stories. We love to learn from other people's experiences, and we don't want to fall into the trap that someone has underwent. So storytelling, I think, is one of the best avenues for us to advocate and to call people to action and to make positive impact in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. You just went straight to your call to action, and I love it. And I hope everyone here today and people that will get to listen to this conversation later would also hold this to heart. Storytelling is very, very important, and there's no two ways about it. How you tell the story, how people perceive it. That's why we went with our community and period connected 2.3. Like Ella has said, community is on our social media pages. Check it out. You will see real stories from women that have gone through everything that we are seeing here today. So read, connect, and everything. So the last thing we're doing right now, I think I'll start with Amira, then I'll go to Abundance, then Selma, round up. Please just give us like a call to action on what young people can do to get involved. So I think a minute each is enough, so we can round up before 3:16 or something. So like a call to action, how can young people get involved? What is your call to action after this conversation? Thank you. Amira, can you hear me? I'm sorry, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so Abundance, you can go first. Maybe she would catch up. Maybe it's myself.
Okay. I believe that we as young advocates and young people, we can do more by creating more awareness. It doesn't just stop in maybe going to schools, maybe every World Menstrual Day and talk and give parts. It shouldn't stop there. We can go into communities, we can gather people, and we should not forget about those living with disability. They tend to be more stigmatized. So we can do more by going to communities, even religious centers, to talk about menstruation, to create more awareness. And we can also empower people, the community. When we go to communities, we can empower the communities to take charge of projects by involving them in the design till implementation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. Everyone should be involved. Your advocacy should be inclusive, and people with disabilities should be part of it. It's not just people. I don't want to say people that are old or something, because we are also old in their own. Yeah. So what I wanted to move towards Selma. I don't know if you can speak now. Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to say this: before we empower someone, we should try to empower ourselves first. The journey should start with ourselves. We should work on ourselves. We should strive to become the best version of ourselves. I think after we empower ourselves, empowering other people would not be a very hard thing for us to do. And the last thing that I would also like to say is the fact that regarding our community, we should try to advocate whatsoever thing is pressing our community. We shouldn't keep quiet. We shouldn't stay silent. We should advocate. We should also demand, and we should act towards the pressing issues that is happening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's like they say, the power starts from within or something. Thank you for that. Empower yourself so that you can empower others. You cannot give out what you don't know. So learn, like organizations like this, volunteer with them, learn what it is that in your own community you can also dish out the right message and right information. Okay, I see Amira, you are ready. Can you give us your own call to action too? Thank you.
Okay. My own call to action is period is natural, it's manageable with dignity, it's our right, it's a privilege. Hello, can you hear me? It's cutting, the
Yeah.
network is cutting my voice. I
Yeah,
said,
don't worry. I can hear you.
yes, I said period are natural and it's not a privilege, it's our right. So let's try to speak up, let's stay informed, let's try to end the shame. But the change should start within us, from
Yeah.
us. Yes. So let's not just wait for the right time to start educating people when we are big or when we make it big. We should start within our environment, within our family, try to educate them to speak up so that they won't go, or they won't still be with the ignorant of, okay, menstruation is a taboo, to speak about it and other things. So let's come together, let's create a world where no girl will be ashamed and she will be left behind without proper menstrual education.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm supposed to say this before. The menstrual equity cluster expert is actually here, and so let's just even the comment encouraging our girls, and I love it. It shows that you can see the work you've done, and you can see that whatever you've done is actually like it's replicated in people, and people are actually showing up for it. So thank you everyone for joining. Before this, is there any question? Is there anyone that would like to add comment, say something? You can just indicate there. Yeah. Both our speakers, thank you so much for one, being on time, for engaging, for talking, and for saying everything that you've said here today. So I think because we are out of time, is there anyone that wants to say something? I don't think any hands are up. Okay, you can put it in the chat box or drop an emoji, a comment, or something. Thank the speakers. They did amazing work today. And like we all know, this conversation, like I said, it's in commemoration of the Menstrual Hygiene Day, and the kind of work we do at the Smile Outreach. Ella explained it, and one way or the other, we talked about it. And please do not forget, and do not forget, like Amira stated, menstruation is your right. Even it's not a privilege. It's not that uh, you just picked it up from somewhere. No, and no one should shame you for it. No one should make you feel bad because you are menstruating. Because it's very funny. If you look at the stories we've shared so far, you'll be wondering, how is this even possible? How are people going through this? How are people doing this? You'll be so shocked. Yes, people are going through it. Yes, people are going through that. So it's your work here today as listeners, as advocates, as speakers, as experts to go out and keep the word going. Yes, they will say anything that concerns women and girls. People like talking too much. Yes, please keep talking. If they did not hear it today, they'll hear it tomorrow. If they not hear tomorrow, they'll hear next week. But we'll continue to hear it till they do the right thing and the right thing is done. Thank you, everyone. I see that there's no question. Thank you so much for your comment. You can see it in the chat box. Thank you so much, Emma and Daniel, for being here. And I think Ella stated it. This is not just a women conversation. This is everyone's conversation. Everyone should know. Everyone should be involved and everything. Thank you, Alia, for your comment. We love you too. And I've already even gone ahead of myself. Thank you, everyone. And also, please, if you've not followed us on our social media, please follow us. If you have opportunity for part of it, don't be shy to send us a mail and everything. Like I said, it is not a right, it is a what? It is a right, it's not a privilege. Thank you everyone once again for joining, and I say bye. I don't want to say bye, guys, but we'll come to the end of the conversation. Please don't forget, follow us on our social media channel, engage with our posts. If you have ideas that you want to work with us with, please, the email is there. Send us a DM, send us a mail and everything. Thank you everyone once again. Bye.
Thank
People
you.
are supposed to show us your face and wave. It's not fair. It's only me and Ella that showed our face. Not fair.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.